Hey there, welcome back to Podcast for Success, where we turn your voice into visibility and your podcast into a well-oiled machine. I'm Stacey Maynard, and today we're diving into one of the most overlooked but make it or break moments in your podcast journey, your launch. Okay, so you've recorded your episodes, check. Edited them, check. Artwork, approved. Trailer, done. Basically, you're ready to go. But now what? Did you hit publish and hope that somebody would find it? Please don't. Launching your podcast is like launching a rocket. You don't want to go fast and then fizzle out on the launch pad, right? So today, I'm going to walk you through the top 3 things that you need to know before you launch your show so that you don't just go live, you go big. Let's dive in. Welcome to Podcast for Success, produced by City Media Group, where creativity meets strategy and smart shows are built with smarter tools. Whether you're navigating the best systems, diving into the latest AI tools, or want to know behind the scenes moves that takes your show from idea to air, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Stacey Maynard, and each time we talk about branding to batching to setup and scale, welcome to your shortcut to creating a podcast that works. This is how you can podcast for success. Let's hit record. Okay, so let's dive into what it takes to make sure that you have a successful launch. First of all, before you kind of go too far into the process, I want you to make sure that you set up your destinations like a pro. What does that mean? It just makes sure that all the tech and all the stuff is lined up before launch day. This is a really important part. Basically, this means that you want to submit your podcast to all your major directories. And I know we've talked about that in regards to setting everything up, but this is just the double check just before you kind of announce it to the world, right? We want to make sure that it's on Apple and Spotify and Amazon Music and YouTube and iHeartRadio and all the things, right? Make sure that you test that RSS feed and make sure that everything connects. You've got your title ready, you've got your descriptions ready, you've got your artwork ready, right? You want to make sure that they're all optimized for that click worthiness so that when you launch, people go, wow, this is really cool and I want to find it. And then think about maybe preparing that simple landing page, right? So that you can kind of go, hey, you want to learn more or you want to listen to episodes, go here. Because the last thing that you want is friction. Right? You don't want somebody coming to you going, well, I can't find it, or where can I find your show, or where should I listen, right? There should be a very easy way for them to say, hey, I found it on my favorite podcast listening station. That's what you want. They shouldn't be clicking around. They shouldn't be, spending all that time trying to find it, right? Because friction kills momentum, and that's not what you want. You're launching with a few episodes, so you don't want them to kind of go, hey, I saw one, I couldn't find the other. I only saw one, but you're talking about another, right? The seamless distribution setup can make or break your show, and it sets up the tone for the entire journey because that makes it easier for people to find it, right? So this is number 1. Make sure that your distribution is there before you even start to announce your show. Okay, so you've got all your tech. You're good to go. Now, number 2. Number 2 is your launch window. This is critical because what most people don't realize is the first week and then the first 30 days of your podcast matters way more than people think. Why? Because you don't just want to put an episode out there, have it reach, the top of the charts or have a lot of people listen like day 1 and then it starts to fizzle out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of those ones, they start tracking early activity. And you want to maintain, so again, you don't want to shoot up like a rocket and then fizzle out. You want to grow, but you want to be consistent, right? Because having that chance to appear in the new shows can really help new listeners find your show, right? Your momentum is there, your momentum is fresh, and your momentum leads to visibility. And that's exactly what I want for your show. Think of it like an opening night of a movie, right? You want people lined up at the door. You want them wondering what's going on. You want to kind of go, hey, this sounds really exciting, and not a wandering in one at a time over 6 months, right? That means your launch strategy needs to include a few things. It needs to include at least 3 to 5 episodes ready to drop on launch day. This is what we call a launch batch. And it's not just the trailer and then one episode. You want to have a few there because the last thing you want is for someone to start to listen and go, wow, that's great. Now I have to wait a whole week for another episode? I was really hoping to kind of get a good vibe or a good listen to what this show is, right? So if they want to listen to one, then they want to listen to another, maybe they'll do that the next day, right? Which is why we want to have a few sort of in that launch batch so that people can continue to listen, right? Because we want to get them to listen in that first 48 to 72 hours. This is really important simply because you want the momentum. Apple and Spotify love it. And I can tell you that each and every one of my clients, every single one that I've produced has reached the new episodes, and each one of them has reached the top of the charts. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but this is why it's really important, because you don't just want your existing people. And yes, we do. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. We want our followers. We want our community members. We want our social media connections. We want all of those people to jump in and support your show. But we also want new people. And that's why it's important to launch this right, focus on the launch strategy, make sure you get that momentum going in the beginning rather than having people kind of go one at a time with dribs and drabs. We need a lot of that activity in the first 48 to 72 hours. And the next thing you want to make sure of is that clear call to action. And that's why I talked before about maybe just doing a basic landing page, because sometimes it gets confusing when you say, hey, like you love the show, but now what? Where do they go? Do they go to your regular website where maybe they have to sift through a few links in order to find where your podcast is? If you have a place right on your podcast landing page that says, hey, listen here, all they have to do is click a button. And maybe you have a place where they can subscribe, rate, and review, right, on their favorite podcast listening station. That would make it very easy for them to do that, right? You don't want to go, hey, review, but go here, then go here, then go here, then go here, and click this and do this. And you want to make it easy for everybody, right? So that's why it's really important. Your show only gets one debut. Make it count. Okay, let's talk about the charts. This is number 3. Early listens equals early charting. This can make a huge difference in your show. We just finished launching a show called Too Late My Ass. Love it. Love the name. Love everything about it, right? Faye Chappell hosts the show. And we put it out there and we launched it with a few episodes and boom, overnight, it landed on the charts. Not only did it land on the charts at the beginning, right? Like Apple basically has 200 of the top shows, right? And when you get into the top 200, you go, yes, that's awesome, because there's a lot of shows out there. Then a lot of the experts out there talk about the top 100, right? And we're like, okay, well, the top 100 is kind of the goal, I guess, like the smaller goal. Well, we got into the top 50 with that show. And that showed that everything that we were doing was right. And that's what I love about producing these shows, right? I love seeing the success of the title was right. The name of the show was right. The episode descriptions were right. We can see what people are clicking on. And getting into that top 50 is a huge milestone because Apple and Spotify both saw a spike in subscriptions. They saw a spike in downloads. They saw a spike in follows, and they saw a spike in reviews and ratings, which is amazing, all in that short window. So we know that that show worked. That show hit people and they were interested in it. And the best thing is that because of that early charting, we also get into the new shows. So there are people who are following the show that have never heard of us, never heard of her, right? Which is amazing. And that's exactly what you want. You want those new listeners. And that's why early charting can make such a big difference. And when I tell you, again, that all of the podcasts I produce and all of my clients hit the charts, they all get into new shows, I know that they're doing a great job and I know they're launching in the right way. They just follow the system, which is amazing. And I love seeing it. I love geeking out when I grab my phone and I see, wow, they're climbing the charts and overnight they got into the top 50. That is amazing. And I love seeing the success of my clients. So basically the way that Apple and Spotify look at it is your podcast is hot, right? people are listening and people are paying attention. So what do they want to do? They want to show it to more people. It's basically the social media algorithm in the Spotify and Apple world. So basically they love to see activity, right? That's basically what Apple and Spotify want to see. But they also want to see that engagement, right? They want to see the comments. They want to go, oh, people are responding to this. People are commenting on it. People are liking it. They're rating it. We love that, right? So that even if you have small numbers, you can really see that engaged audience. And that's what matters more, that engagement versus the amount of numbers, because that can really get you ranked. And reviews alone aren't magic, but when they're paired with downloads or listens or streams, that's the rocket fuel you need for your show. That's the part that really drives it up into the charts, because they see that people aren't just listening, they're engaging, and they want to give it more love, which is amazing. So instead of launching to silence, which is not a good thing, remember, and kind of like, you don't want to kind of go, shh, I launched a show. Don't tell anybody, but it's really good, but I don't want anyone to know, right? You're launching in silence and you don't want to do that, right? Launch to action. Get people excited. Get your listeners hyped and get them ready before you even launch your show, right? Tell them that something amazing is coming, and then they're going to support you. And when they do, you skyrocket through the charts and into the new shows, which is exactly where you want to be. Okay, so if your show is ready to go, you've got all the things, you've set up all the stuff, you've got your episodes recorded, here's your checklist for a winning launch. Okay, so number 1, set up distribution like a pro. Remember, make sure that it is everywhere, because easy access equals more listeners. And use your launch window wisely. Remember, don't just treat it like a campaign. Don't just treat it like an afterthought. Make sure you get that activity in the first 48 to 72 hours. That is going to kick your launch into high gear. And remember, number 3, early listeners equals early charting, and momentum matters. So just because getting on the charts, people go, oh, I don't really care about numbers. It's not about that. It's about getting into those new shows so that new listeners can find your show and see, hey, this looks like a really good show. I'm going to press listen. And that's exactly what you want. Podcasting isn't just about pressing record. You want the listener to press listen. And it's about launching like you mean it so that they see it and they can't wait to click that listen button. And a great launch builds momentum that keeps your show visible, clickable, and growing right from day one. So I can't wait to see what your show does on the charts. So tell me, do you have a show that's launching? I would love to support you. And if you want to start a show, I would love to help you get started as well so that you can launch right into the charts, just like our recent show did with Too Late My Ass. I'm excited to see where you'll go and how you are going to turn your voice into visibility. Thanks for tuning in to Podcast for Success. If you're ready to work smarter and grow your show, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review. Want even more tips and tools? Visit podcastforsuccess.com, where we share more free resources, behind-the-scenes setup, bonus content, and the latest digital trends. Until next time, keep creating, keep recording, and keep showing up.